Oh, this is 100% gonna have to be repotted, growing happily in this frumpy little pot. Hello everyone, welcome to my living room. Are you even starting your day if you're not using Bridgerton Honey Breakfast Tea? Welcome back, guys, or if it's your first time here, my name's Erin, and welcome in general. Today we're going to talk about 10 rare plants that are absolutely worth every penny. So let's think for a minute, what makes a really good rare plant? And not all of them are super expensive. Some of them are a little bit more pricey than others, but what makes a good rare plant in my book is it's not super fussy, doesn't crisp easily, doesn't yellow easily, and it puts out a lot of growth quickly. So if you can meet all of those parameters, I think we've checked all the boxes. So a few key things. So I grow in ambient conditions. I live in Southern California. It is a little bit drier out this way. You will not, unfortunately, find a Hoya amongst this list. I have nothing against Hoyas. I have over 150 plants, but a Hoya is not among them, sadly. I like big leaves. It just doesn't have that for me. I mean, during the Plant Story live sales, I generally just sort of wait patiently while somebody is selling the Hoyas, and I'm not mad at it. They're just not for me. I do think I'm actually ready to purchase my first Hoya. I'm just finding the right one. I wonder if you all can guess which one that is. If you think you know which Hoya a non-Hoya person who likes big leaves is going to purchase, let me know in the comments if you figure it out. Without further ado, let's start at the bottom of the list. This plant is more accessible now than it used to be, a little bit more affordable than it used to be because the plant bubble did really burst a bit after the pandemic. Here it is. Anthurium luxurians. I mean, it feels tough. This is a leathery plant. I've had these two for a while and it puts out, I think the last thing it put out was an inflow. This is a people pleaser. There's a reason why so many hybrids are luxurians, and I feel like it's a staple for any Aroid collector's collection. Now you can find it in big sizes like this, or you can grow your own big size, or more of like a seedling size. And I do have a seedling size, seedling plus, I would say. So let me show you that one. Not the fastest Anthurium, but fast enough. And then this one, this is the newest. Almost immediately started putting out this new leaf here, which, okay, I flew her too close to the sun. I flew her too close. This emergent was way too close to the grow light, and this happened, which was a total rookie move. I have since moved her, and then they turn into this nice deep green that we love. So we're in the deep greening process right now, and we're looking better, but this is not going to go away. And this is going to be a constant reminder of me messing up with plant parenting. So just be mindful of that and learn from me. But look at the roots on this. The roots say, I'm still happy. This is from Equigenera. It was $35 on Palm Street, formerly known as Plant Stories. More affordable than it used to be. A fairly quick producer, and it's not going to give you too much trouble. This is an iatrogenic problem that I did, so taking full ownership of this. Anthurium luxurians. Okay, let's do an Alocasia. I have notoriously struggled with Alocasia. I think I recently figured it out by putting them in some other substrate. Anything other than soil. So the next plant on our list is Alocasia watsoniana. This plant is so cool looking. This is a pricey plant, and I was really suspicious of how fussy this was going to be as an Alocasia, but I have been pleasantly surprised by the ease of care and how fast this has been a producer of gorgeous foliage. I've been doing some experimenting with this plant, and I have 3 to show you, which are all going in the correct direction. This is a zero glass, just kidding. This is a glass of water, and when I received this plant, I took off all of the roots, stuck it in water with some nutrients, and it's just been percolating in this. All of this, it's all new growth. The algae is because it's exposed to a lot of light in the window. This is a new emergent here that it's grown from this water. I am going to put this probably into pond. It's ready now. I feel good about doing this. Okay, exhibit B, this plant that I put in, I did not destroy the roots, and I just put it in some fluval stratum, aka nature's caviar, which is a compressed volcanic soil. If anybody is new to the substrate, it's great for growing corms, strengthening little weak seedlings, bringing them back from the dead or back to life. So I stuck this in some fluval, and this is the newest emergent coming out here, so also quite happy. Finally, we have the watsoniana that arrived in soil. You know, I don't know whatever mystery soil this seller from Etsy had, but I've just been fertilizing it with my usual blend of Super Thrive, Foliage Pro, the BTI drops, and what else? Oh, I think I actually have been using the stress coat that some of you guys recommended for watering some of your plants. And this is its newest leaf here, and I have zero complaints about this plant. So that's one plant, 3 different ways. All are great. I know a lot of you guys are starting to collect this one more. This is not only very cool looking, like look at the back, but it seems to be pretty straightforward and not fussy, which for Alocasia is nice for a change, I'll say. Okay, next up in our rare plant journey, it's a little bit more, it's a lot more on the expensive, pricier end, but my whole thing is if you're going to pay a lot for a plant, you better damn well be looking hot. I noticed that whenever I was on Instagram, it would always stop me in my tracks and I would think, what is that? It was always the same plant or a hybrid of this plant. I finally bit the bullet and purchased one from the Homebody. Anthurium red crystallinum tizula. This is the latest emergent. It has this red veining, and the emergent is so fun to look at. You almost don't want it to stop. I don't want this to end. I wish it would stay this color forever. It's so gorgeous. And this one, thank God, has been really, really forgiving. I have it underneath the grow light, of course, to give it plenty of light, but it does feel like quite substantial. It's in this little nursery pot. I'm just gonna let the aesthetics speak for itself. When this gets big, it just gets even more impressive looking. If you're gonna splurge on a plant that's like visually going to just completely knock you over the head with its beauty, this is the one. Not cheap, but worth it. This is a birthday present plant. Okay, next on the list, we have Anthurium Happy Bunny. First of all, how great is this name? It's a hybrid from Equigenera, and it's a Anthurium Pinklei and Anthurium luxurians. Back to plant number 10 in the list. Pretty much anything cool is a hybrid of Anthurium luxurians, and this is no exception. This is it sizing up. It's not even hardened, it's not finished growing, it's still a baby.
Either way, great progress for a bebe.
I'm a huge fan of this plant. I mean, it is happy and it looks like a bunny. This has been a dream to grow. It's got great roots happening. I'm gonna have to probably repot this guy very soon. This is gonna be amazing when it sizes up further. The Happy Bunny has delivered Pinklei and luxurians Happy Bunny. Next is another bedroom featured plant, Anthurium forgetii. This is another baby. It's not quite hardened off yet, but it's like a lovely floppy blanket. I was already happy when I got this plant and it gave me this leaf almost immediately. I was like, oh wow, this sizes up really quickly. But then the next leaf was this giant monster. From this little tiny pot here, we are definitely needing to repot like yesterday. So I'm gonna get right on that.
I'm right on top of that, Rose.
But this one, there's been no crisping, there's been no yellowing. It's just been the usual fertilization. It's in the periphery of the grow light, so it doesn't need, let's see, it's a good 6 feet away from the grow light. It is really happy. It's sized up quite a bit. I mean, look at petiole A versus petiole B from this monster. So fused sinus. Here, if you want to take it one step further, the forgetii white stripes, equally as cool, maybe even cooler, and just as easy to grow. This is a good one. I didn't know how much that I was going to enjoy this plant. This is what I can see when I wake up in the morning first thing, and this is a great start to a day. Next plant is kind of a random one. This is a hybrid. This is the Carla by crystallinum. It has a new emergent here growing, and let's see, this is the old petiole here, and this is the new one. So we're already taller and larger, which is really exciting. And it's just sort of like, I don't have it in a cool pot. I really should have this in more of a focal point because this is such a cool looking dark velvety Anthurium. This is from BWH. This is one of their plants that their head grower hybridized, and I love it. And a lot of these hybrids sometimes do better than the pure forms. It's like I bought it just because aesthetically I thought it was really pretty. I don't have a Carla, but I just thought I would give it a try, and I have been pleasantly surprised by the ease of this plant and the rapidity of which it's been growing. And I did put a little bit of moss on top here just to provide it with a little bit extra humidity because I just did not want this guy to crisp, and it's been really well behaved. It came with 4 leaves. This was the biggest leaf, which I thought was actually a really nice size. So overall, I was really impressed with the value of this one. It's not the cheapest, but like pretty high yield. Okay. Next on our list, the Monstera esqueletos. So I have 2 in the background here. They're both on moss pole. I previously have struggled with them. I was not giving them enough light. Once I figured that out, I also slapped them up on some moss poles. And this one here, been pushing out quite a few leaves. It's really growing into the pole. It's doing really well. I have 2 huge specimens from Costa Farms, which are always exploding with growth. Those were really inexpensive. These esqueletos are definitely less expensive than they used to be. They're more accessible. Pausing now for a quick break for sushi. Okay, welcome to my guest room. As I mentioned before, I don't know what I said before about it. I'm gonna have a 2-in-1 shared category for this next item. And it is, of course, the Florida family, barring the Florida green, because that is way too accessible. I wouldn't put it in this rare plant category, but I am gonna include the Florida Ghost and the Florida Beauty. These I have a problem buying. Like, I just keep going. Let's start with the Ghost first. These are incredibly easy, full stop. I have not had this one very long at all. I put it in pond. I really wanted to test it and see how it would do. This gets disgusting with green algae. I just cleaned it out before I filmed this because I didn't want anyone to have to look at it because it was truly horrifying. But this is the first leaf it put out, and this is the second one, which is so fun to look at, and it's already going again. So this is a non-stop growing machine. You could put this on a moss pole or not, just let it grow wild and trail up. I'll show you my Florida Green, which is an insane grower. If you don't like to feel bored by your plants salting during wintertime or any other time and you want non-stop growing fun, I would suggest the Florida Ghost. I was a really big fan of this. I mean, look at this color. This is tone on tone on tone. This is like she's fashion. This one is from an Instagram seller, Terracotta Plant Co. She's really pretty. This is, you do sometimes worry with these very white leaves that they're going to brown. So far, this has been well behaved. This is very dry here. So to my point, you don't really have to stay on top of this and worry about it absolutely crisping. Look at this. So pretty. She's so pretty. I mean, I feel so lucky here. Okay, this is the latest leaf she put out, which I lost that white. You know what? A lot of this plant is genetics, so what can you do? Just do your best. Every leaf is a surprise. Same thing here. Oh, hello, half moon alert. Love this. This is the latest leaf. Here, the morphology is changing and getting a little bit more mature. If you're a person who likes blind bags and surprises and surprise unboxings, and you just don't know what you're going to get next, a Florida Beauty, Florida Ghost is a great option for you. This one is my most disappointing Florida Beauty here. I don't know what I'm going to do with her. This is the leaf that she came with, which was pretty, but not the most impressive ever. And then the first leaf I got had this sad little bit of variegation here. The next leaf was a little bit larger, but had some like striation in it. And then the newest one, sad bit of coloring, but interesting shape and morphology. So a really cool looking plant. We're getting bigger and bigger and bigger with the leaf size, but less impressive with the variegation. They're also different. You just never know what you're going to get. You never know with this one. So like I said, if you love a surprise, that's your plant. Okay, the next plant in our series is one that I have waxed poetic about so many times. If you have frequented this channel before, this will not come as a shock to you. It is our friend, Anthurium pallidiflorum. Let's give it up for her. I mean, this is our newest leaf here. I bought this quite rumply, and I've said it in the video I did about this plant. Time was a really great iron and really just straightened the heck out of this plant, but it is so long and so dramatic. Generally, as far as strap anthuriums go, most of them are pretty forgiving. This one is just so dang tough though. It's constantly producing a leaf. Like here is our next guy on deck here, ready to go, constantly pushing out new leaves, each bigger than the next if you keep them happy. Quite forgiving for underwatering, slightly less so for overwatering. Of course, like great in ambient conditions and great with a plethora of substrate. So I have another one of these growing in pond and it seems to be really happy as well. It just keeps on with the same cycle of leaves. This one still is underneath the grow light. It's probably about 4 or 5 feet away from the grow light, more so in the periphery. The same with the one that's in the bedroom. It doesn't have a huge, crazy light requirement. It is under the Rousseau grow light. I'm here for the drama of this plant. It rarely misbehaves. You're gonna find this for a lot cheaper now. Okay, the moment we've been waiting for. The #1 spot for rare plants that are worth every penny. It's a classic, folks. It's been staring at us right here in this living room since moment 1 of this video. It is our friend Anthurium crystallinum. There's a reason why so many hybrids that we love are crystallinum and blank and crystallinum. It's a classic plant. This is the plant that non-Aroid collectors who are like maybe just a little Aroid curious or very new into houseplants look at this one and say, what's that? This looks very intimidating. Could I do this? And the answer is, of course, like, yes, you can. It's a pretty straightforward plant. It's the usual Aroid rules apply, not overwatering, giving it enough light. I have been so lucky. I received this from a pop-up a couple of years ago from Equagenera. She puts out a ton of inflows. I have harvested her pollen a few times here, and she gives me very little trouble. Also, the cool thing about a crystallinum is it's very accepting towards a different substrate. I have this one in a lot of coconut. Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize. Oh, wow. Oh, this is 100% gonna have to be repotted. Shoot, how am I gonna get that out? Okay, that's a pending thing that's gonna happen. To my point, this loves leca. It loves pon. It is very tolerant to many different substrates. So it looks classically beautiful. Crossed with anything, it looks amazing. It's easy to take care of, doesn't yellow easily, and it doesn't crisp easily. Like I said, this has been growing happily in ambient for quite some time now. Overall looking pretty good, pretty healthy here. Have a little bit of crisping here, but you know, I've had this for a couple of years. There's gonna be some wear and tear here. She's a classic plant, but yeah, I didn't realize this was happening down here. Amazing. I brought this from the guest room. This crystallinum here has been growing happily in leca, in this frumpy little pot. I would say if you're attracted to a velvet anthurium in this genus, I feel like this is the species for you to give it a whirl. You know, a couple of these I want to give an honorable mention to. Honorable mention #1 is going to be the Jose Bueno philodendron. These are always putting out very large, aggressive looking leaves. I have it underneath enough light, so it has not reverted for me. It's actually gotten better. It's a super fast grower, but these are definitely, they're not as hard to find now. They're actually fairly reasonable in price usually. Not super rare, but still very cool looking. You don't have to wait long and then it will be pushing out a new leaf soon. Okay, the second honorable mention plant I'd like to mention, the mention I'd like to mention is Philodendron gloriosum back here. So this is a very easy grower. It sizes up quickly. It's a crawler. Really been pushing it with a very large round pot. It's kind of like banging up against the side because I'm being stubborn and refusing to put it in a rectangular pot. However, it's very easy to grow. It doesn't dry out easily. It doesn't crisp or yellow easily, but it's not super rare anymore. It is extremely accessible. In fact, I was recently in a big box store in Los Angeles and I saw they had gloriosum, which made me so happy because I think everybody should have this plant. It's such a beautiful philodendron. It's so pretty. When it does size up, the leaves can be just like a blanket size. And it's very easy care. Well, thank you so much for joining me on my rare plants that I think are worth every single penny. They are beautiful, easy, they're fun to grow, they're not talking back, they're behaving. What else can we ask from a plant? Some of them are more expensive than others. The ones that are pricier, I feel like are worth it. Curious to know if you guys have either Philodendron Spirit Sancti or Monstera Burley Marks Flames that you would include on this list. My Spirit Sancti forgetii is pretty new to me. It hasn't put out a leaf yet, so I feel like it would really be speaking out of turn if I included that. But I have heard from those I know who have that plant that it actually sizes up really quickly and is a fairly easy plant. Same with the Monstera Burley Marks Flame. So I am very curious to see if you have those or if you have experience, if you would include them. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe so you don't have any plant FOMO. And I will see you next time.